back, everyone. So this is a lab that's going to encompass multiple things. It's going to come. We're going to configure a layer 3 switch as a DHCP server for the 192.168.100.0. We're going to have this as our DNS server, and I'll show you how to do that in the packet tracer with a website along with it, a web page. All right. We're going to be using static routes to go across. I'll configure default routes as well. Now remember, what is a default route? A default route is simply used for the purposes if the routing table does not have an entry towards your destination, you can use the default, or it will use the default route and send you to the next router's hop address. All right. So we'll use the default routes, and we're going to use actual static routes. Okay. Not that we need to, but we're going to. All right. And then when we come over here, again, this will be a DHCP server for a different network. We're not going to do IP helper address. Every LAN will have their own DHCP server, which will be the quote-unquote distribution switch if you want to look at it. All right. To give out an IP address to the wired and to the wireless, because we have an AP here. Now, the thing with APs, we'll click on it, and we go to port 1. There is no DHCP. We'll be changing the defaults and all that good stuff, and we'll have some security in there, like pre-shared key, WPA2. All right, but and we'll change obviously the SSID. But there is no DHCP. So the DHCP, right, for these laptops to get an IP address will be coming from the switch. Cool. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm not even going to bother right now with these PCs because they're just end devices. They're just receiving IP addresses. But I will go into the DNS server. So we're going to go into the DNS server, and let me minimize this. We're going to minimize it, but make it where you can see everything. Okay. And then we're going to go to the desktop. So since this is going to be my server, 192.168.1.1, I want to use that. Oh, it's not 1.1. It's 100 network. It's the 100 network. And then the gateway will be 192.168.100.254. Now, the DNS server, I am my own DNS server. 192.168.100.1. Cool. So we got that squared away. Right? We got the IP scheme there. This is I am 100.1, and I am my own DNS server, and this is the gateway. And we're using a default Class C mask. We're not subnetting. All right, so we're going to go to services. There's a tab, services, and we're going to go to DNS. All right, and we got to turn it on. And we're going to turn on for globed.net. All right, and the address we're going to point into that server, 192.168.1.1. This is a makeshift. It's not the real world DNS, but you get the idea. It has an A record, blah, 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 right? And you want to be able to see if this is actually working. So let's make sure we save that, right? Just want to make sure. And then we go to our desktop and we come here. It takes a bit, okay? And we go globed.net. And the only reason that I do everything in caps is so I can see. All right, it should resolve it sometime today. That's why I like my fast forward button. And it says request timeout. All right, so let's go. Let's close that. Check my IPs, 100.1, 100.1. Okay, go back to services on globed.net. Yeah, you see? It's what you're used to. I'm so used to that. So put the wrong IP address. Troubleshooting. Hey, how about that? In the packet tracing, real world stuff. Okay, let's go back to the web browser. All right, type again globed.net. Awesome. But I definitely don't want that coming out. All right, so what you can do, it's not required for you to do it for any certification or anything like that, but I like changing that. So I go back to services, and then I go to HTTP. I see that index. Those of you that have done HTML, whatever it is, the index, the home, all right, HTML, whatever the case may be, that's the one you need to edit. That's your home page, right? So I changed this. Let's I'll say welcome to Globed. Welcome to Globed.net. Right, whatever. Now mine's wide open. God forbid I get some copyright infringement or something like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna get rid of these breaks right here. All right, but I'm gonna put here IP master last. Cool. So we save it. Do you want to overwrite it? Yes, I do. So let's see if that worked. Go back. Let's test it. Go back in there. It's not going to look pretty or anything like that, but no, we've changed it. Globed.net. And there it is. It says Go Packet Tracer, Globed.net, IP master last, right? And I did it in the wrong place. Whatever. It is a Cisco Packet Tracer. Welcome to Globed.net. Whatever. All right. So we just changed it around. All right, cool. So that's our DNS server. So let's go into this switch. All right. And we're going to go ahead and do, let me see, make sure it fits into everything that we can, so we can see it. We'll go to the CLI. Yeah, please, can you please stop going here? Where is it? You guys like to go into the config tab and do things in here. I don't know. No, stop doing that. Go to the CLI. You need to learn CLI commands. So we're going to enable. Okay, hold on. There you go. We're going to enable conft host name. This will be MLS because it's a multi-layer switch. 0. Now, I'm going to do my little basic stuff. No IP domain hyphen lookup. Oops. Okay. And I'm going to do line con 0 login synchronous. I don't want to get interrupted. Okay. So line VTY. Okay. The angels are calling 5 VTY 015. All right. Login synchronous. Lovely. All right. So now the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to go to the VLAN. All right. For monitoring purposes and for IP purposes as well. So int VLAN 1, everybody's going to be part of VLAN 1, IP address 192.168.100.253. Why 253? Because my gateways are always 254. Okay? And then 255.255.255.0. And then VLAN 1 being the native VLAN, you have to turn it on. Okay? So I do that. So that's on. If you want to check it out, do show IP space, do show IP in brief. You go all the way to the bottom. There it is right here. It's up. Cool? Awesome. But we're all part of VLAN 1. So now let's create the DHCP server. IP DHCP. Now, you got a choice. Do you want to do, let's move this over here. Because you know what we're doing here. Make it a little bit bigger. There you go. So you got a choice. You can go ahead and do excluded addresses, or you can start doing the pool. Now, if you do excluded addresses, it's going to stay in global configuration. If you do the pool, you get right into the pool, right? So I'm just going to do the excluded addresses first. So there's 2 addresses that I'm going to exclude from the scheme. It's 100.253 and 100.254. All right, so I can do it together, I can do it individually. So excluded addresses, tab is your friend. That's the only freaking command that starts with an E there. So I just typed E and hit tab. 192.168.100.253. This is the low IP address. I can then just do space and put the other one, but I don't want to. I just want to do it this way, just so you can see it better. So I excluded both of those IP addresses. I need to exclude the DNS address as well. All right, 100.1, because I don't want them to be allocated to the PCs. So I exclude those addresses. All right. So now I'm going to create the pool. IP DHCP pool for LAN 100. Okay. So let's question marks so we can see what's there. The default router will be your gateway. All right. So it's going to be 192.168.100.254. Then your DNS is going to be 192.168.100.1. Oops, .1. And the network, that's how it's going to choose the IP addresses that you're going to get. 192.168.100.0, 255, 255.0. Now, it's been my experience that if you do just a do WR, it doesn't take effect. So I gotta do it the old school way, copy, run, start. All right, and let's take a look at that, shall we? Let's do a show start. It's right there at the top. So you can see the exclusions that I've created. This is the switch. This is the gateway on the router. This is the DNS server. Here is the network that's going to use to assign to my end devices IP addresses. It's telling it the gateway and the DNS. So let's see if this is working. Troubleshoot as you go. Check as you go. Verify as you go. All right, so let's minimize this. Let's come in here to this PC here. There we go. Desktop, and then we change it. Let's see. There. Okay, I was about to hit the fast forward button. So we got that 100.2, the mask, the gateway, and the DNS server. Lovely. All right, let's do the same thing for PC3. Bring it down so you guys can see everything. Desktop, go there. Let's see if it works. Lovely. All right, and then come here. Bring it down. Last PC. And we'll check to see if we can get to the web server and all that now. Since we have the DNS server address, right, we're in the same network, we should be able to go to our browser. I'm not going to check on every PC. If it works on one, it'll work on all. Okay. Today, thank you. Globed.net. And cool. There it is right there. So we got our LAN up and running. But now we need to go to the router and configure the gateway. All right. Because we want to get to the outside. So we're going to come to this router. Let me move this over. Okay. So you can see where I'm at. I'm going to be right here on this router. And come down here. Let's bring this down. Awesome. Oh, it disappeared. Come down there. Behave. All right. Right here. So CLI. We're going to say no, obviously. Enable. Config T. Hostname R1. I know it says 0. Let's give it R0 so nobody gets confused. Okay, R0. And then my basic stuff. No IP domain. So I'm not getting interrupted. IP domain. Because you see, I'm typo king. Big time. Lookup. And then line. VTY 0 space 15. Login synchronous. Login synchronous. Synchronous. Line. Wow, just jump in there. We're not character there. There we go. Exit. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and configure the IP addresses. So the int G0/0, that is my gateway for that 100 LAN. So I'm going to do IP address 192.168.100.254, 255.255.255.0. Let's just no shut that. Lovely. So the int G01/1, that's going to be, it's what I normally do. It's a 10114 with a 30. So 10114 with a 30, that means you have 5 and 6. This will be 5. So I go in there and say IP address 10.1.1.5, 255.255.255.252. And I'm going to say no shut. All right. And then now I'm actually going to configure the static route. Well, let's do that later. Let's just configure all this stuff first. So now let's move it over. I like to work this way, sequential order. So I'm going to come this way. I know I got to do the G02 on this router. So again, bring this down so everybody can see. All right, I'll be working right here. This router, and then I'll do this switch. All right, we're going to say no. Enable, config T, hostname, R, what is this? R1 now. Okay, because it's almost 0. All right, so we're going to do the basic IP domain. And that's something you should get into the habit of doing, especially if you're doing labs. It's a royal pain when the it keeps, wow. Look up. You get feedback, right? You get these syslog messages. That's, stop it. It's a pain. So, and if you're typing and you make a typo like I do, it's like, you know, here you can do Control-C. If you're using EVE-NG or especially CML2, it doesn't let you do the break commands. So type that command, please. And then line GTY 0 space 15. Now I'm just doing it different. Anyway, login synchronous. Oh, I hate when I don't see it. And then line con 0. Login synchronous. Beautiful. Okay, that's done. All right, so let's go into the interface. Interface G0/2. That's going to be IP address. It's the other side, right? 10.1.1.6, 255.255.252. Then the LAN, that's going to be the 200. So I'm going to say, well, let's no shut this first. Then it's going to be G00, int G0/0. It's going to be IP address 192.168.200.254, 255.255.255.0. And we just no shut that. Okay. So we got the router squared away as far as the IPs are concerned. Right? And you can always do your show IP in brief. You want to take a look at that? Okay. And you can see there's your 192.168.200.254 and the 10.1.6. That, like, the sister command to that would be show protocols. Sister, brother, cousin, whatever. Okay. Is the one that gives you, I like it because I sometimes put the wrong mask. You saw me put the wrong IP at the very beginning. Okay. So you can look that you put in the right mask. It's the same thing as the show IP in brief. It just shows it in a different format and it's giving you the mask as well. So that's pretty cool. All right. So we're done with the router. Let's just get that out the way. Let's go to the switch. Again, everybody here is on VLAN 1. All right. Let me make this smaller here. Everybody here is on VLAN 1. Okay, we're going to say no. We're going to enable conf-t. This is MLS 1. So we're going to host name MLS 1. All right. And then we're going to go into VLAN 1, like we did in the other one, if I can spell VLAN. And then just put an IP address on it. IP address. This is a 200 network. Remember, my gateway is 200.254. So therefore, this is going to be 192.168.200.253. 255.255.255.0. Right? And you don't forget to no shut your VLAN 1. Okay? So we exit out of that. So let's do the DHCP excluded addresses, okay? In this side, all right, since the DNS server is on the other side, okay, we don't have to exclude it here. All right, so we're going to do IP DHCP excluded addresses. It's going to be the 192.168.200.254 and the 253, all right? The gateway and the switch. So those are the two that are excluded. For the pool, IP DHCP pool, let's call this LAN 200. All right, so question mark it again so you can see the commands. The default router is going to be the gateway, 192.168.200.254. Then the DNS server is across the network, which is going to be 192.168.100.1. And now let me just pause here real quick. If this was a true whatever network, I mean, I know that we cache things when we go online. We're using DNS servers, you know, Google DNS servers, what have you. But if you're a company and you're using your own routers, this comes from my experience in the colleges that were multiple campuses going across cities. You know, you want to have your own DNS servers locally. But in this case, I'm just showing you, you know, that we can go across using the DNS server over there. Your DNS server does not have to be, it does not, like when you're doing Active Directory, right? It used to be back in the good old days that the DNS server, people had this mindset, well, if you're running Active Directory, the DNS server has to be on the Active Directory. No, DNS IP address can be anywhere, can be any device as long as you have the DNS service running. Okay, so this is where the DNS service is running on that particular DNS server, and that's when it's going to get assigned to these PCs. So we got the gateway, we got the DNS server, and now we just need to tell it the network. Network 192.168.200.0.255.205.205.0. That's where it's going to pick up. Oh, that's right. Let me end this and then do a copy run start. Cool. And you can do a show start. Not do this, show start. It sounds like somebody mumbling words. Show start. And there's your DHCP server there. Okay, so first let's see if it's working. Okay, let's come over here. Let's go to PC1. Bring this down so you can see. I say, hey, where's the IP address? There it is, 20.1, 100.1. Beautiful. Close that. Come up here. Bring it down so you can see everything. Okay, go to the desktop. IP configuration, DHCP. Done. So here, let's check to see if we can get to globed.net. Just to check. Well, we are not going to be able to actually because we don't have any routing going on. So once we do the routing, then we'll check that. Okay. And now these laptops. So these laptops right now have wired NIC cards. So the first thing I do before I give them their wireless NIC cards, I'm going to come here to the AP, and it's an access point for AC, right? 1 gig. So I'm going to come here to the AC, to the AP, go to port 1, okay? And I'm going to change the default to, I don't know, LAN 200, whatever. Not very creative right now. And the shared key, let's make it Cisco 1234, right? AES would be the encryption type, all right? So we go ahead and close that. All right, so that's good to go already. But again, you can see that port 0 is just the interface for, it's going to be 1,000 megabits or what have you. It's half duplex, it's wireless. Okay, and port 1 is where you actually choose the 5 gigahertz channel, which we're going to leave it as default. But the LAN 200, which is the SSID, it's important. And then we put some security using WPA2 pre-shared key. All right, but there is no, we should be getting an IP address from this switch right here. So we're going to go to the first laptop. You can see that it's a wired NIC card. We're going to turn it off. Click, select, bring it down to this yellow area. Disappears. You can just grab this from right here. It's the same thing as this WPC right here. So I'm just going to grab it right here. Okay, that's done. Okay, and then turn it back on. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. I'm going to open it up. All right, turn it off. Drag it to the yellow area. It's right here. All right, and you can see it says WPC 300. Right? Just turn your computer back on. So that's done, but you're not connecting to the access point because you don't have the information. Now, normally this does have a GUI. This does have a GUI. If you go to the desktop tab, and you can go to PC Wireless, and you can do it that way. I don't do it that way. I used to do it that way. I don't do it that way anymore. That was way back in, I don't know, 2003 or something like that. So I go to the Wireless 0 interface, all right? And we don't use WEP anymore. WPSK regular, not PA2. This is not used. WPA2 pre-shared key is what we're using. And this method here is for Radius, if you're using Radius, WPA2. All right, just so you know. So the password, the SSID is, what was it, LAN 200. And then the phrase was Cisco 123. What was it, 1, 2, 3, 4? I don't remember now. I'll soon find out if it doesn't connect. Let me just check it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it figures. Wow, I need to be more Brain food, not Bluetooth. Genius. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So we should be connecting. And there we go. We have our connection there. So that means we should be getting an IP address, and we are. We go to the desktop tab. Let me go back down. Let me go to the IP configuration. And there you see 200.3. And we have the DNS server. So that's good. All right, let's minimize that. Let's do the same thing to the wireless. So we go to, again, not desktop, config, wireless 0. Let's make it so we can actually see it. All right, it's not all crunched up. And that's one bad thing about the packet tracer. It crunches everything up. You know, you got to separate things. So talk to your college professors to, hey, don't give me a crunched up thing, okay? Spread it out so I can see it. Cisco, well, let's put in the LAN 200. Oops, LAN 200. And it is Cisco 1234. Cool, done deal. All right, and then let's go ahead and close that, and let's fast forward through time. It connected, lovely. All right, let's see if it gets an IP address, and it sure did. So let's check from this laptop right here, can we get to the Globed website? All right, any day now. Thank you. Globed.net. Fast forward through time. Yes, I'm in a hurry. Unresolved. Really? Did I misspell something? I don't see how that's unresolved. Let's do an IP config, right? Here comes the troubleshooting. IP config. Oh, of course it's unresolved. Duh, we forgot the routing. So let's start from router 1 or router 0. Right? Forgot the routing, right? Enable, config T. So we'll do the default route first. IP route 0.0.0.0, 0.0.0 through my next router's hop address, which is 10.1.1.6. Right? So that's your default route. But again, that's just in case I start adding networks and I don't want to do static routes, whatever. It's just still 2 routers. I'm not going to do a routing protocol. Saves bandwidth, what have you. And I'm just going to do a static route. So IP route. I want to get to the network 192.168.200.255.255.255.0. Let's open this up this way. And I got to tell it where to go. I'm on router 0, so it'll be 10.1.1.6. My next router's hop address. Do WR. Let's take a look at our routing table. Show IP route. Got to put a space in there. Show IP route. And there you can see there's your default route right here. S with an asterisk, that means default route. And you can see the gateway address where it's set. That's what it is. And then your actual static route with a hop count of 1. All right, cool. So let's go to the second router. Okay. Over here. Right, let me show you how that looks like right now. So that's why we couldn't get across. Me and ergonomic keyboards do not get along. Well, you can see we're just connected. We don't know about anything else. So we're going to say config T, IP route, default route, match anything, right? Any network, any mask, and just send it to the next guy, right? Which is my neighbor. And then I'm going to do an actual static route, IP route. I'm going to go to the 192.168.100.0 network that has its mask through my neighbor. So if you have both of these configured, since you do have an entry in your routing table, it's not going to use the default route. It's going to use the static route, because if there is an entry in your routing table for that network, it's going to use that. All right. If it wouldn't be there, it would use the default route. So I want to check this again up here in router 1. I'm like that. I don't trust myself. All right, let's open this up here. Okay, there's my static route right there. All right, cool. So let's see now. Let's come back to the PC laptop. All right, let's bring it over and let's ping. First, let's ping before we try the website again, right? 192.168.100.1, which is the DNS server address. I'll wait. I'll have patience this time. Maybe. Oh, come on. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I don't have patience. So we have connectivity. So we should be able to get to globed.net. This HTTP browser. It's not only me. It's everybody. Okay. I don't know why, you know, globed.net. And there you go. We're resolving. So very simple. A lot of different technologies involved, right? We have wired networks, wireless networks, in this case AC. All right. We did a little security here by using WPA2 pre-shared key. We have the DHCP service running on these distribution, we'll call it, switches. Okay. We have DNS configured on this particular router right here. And we played around with the HTML. And then in the router, we actually created default routes and a static route. So you can see the difference. The default routes will have an S and an asterisk, okay? And then the only purpose for that, I said it at the beginning, is the fact that if you do not have an entry for that particular network, we'll use the default route. But in our case, we did a static route, so there's an entry. So if you were to get asked the question, this is the, let me open it up so you can see what I'm saying. I'm telling you. Okay, so let's get rid of all this. Let's do a brand new, show IP route. So if you get asked the question, based on this following output, and you're trying to get to the 200 network, will you use the default route or a static route? You will use a static route because it's an actual entry in the routing table, and that's what the router looks at first. If there is no entry, then it will use the default route. So you have to keep that in mind, okay? So these are the type of questions that they'll ask. We see that this was easy. We took it nice and slow, and we configured it, okay? So now people always ask me this question, Laz, where's this lab? It's in the video. Pause the video. Take a snippet of it. Connect, create your lab, because you got to learn. Create your lab. And then slowly but surely, as you go, pause, grab the information and configure it. All right? I hope you got something out of it. I'll see you in the next one.